everyone, I'm Miss Atifa, an English teacher at Lilbert Mighty. Today, we're going to talk about exploring perspectives in your writing. First, what exactly is a perspective? A perspective refers to a character's observations of what is happening within a story. When you write in first-person point of view using I, you can choose to take any character's perspective in your writing. For instance, you can take the perspective of a student, a teacher, or a doctor. Today, let's explore perspectives creatively through fairy tales. A fairy tale often follows the perspective of a protagonist, such as Ariel in The Little Mermaid. A protagonist often refers to the main character of the story, also known as the good person or the hero or heroine. On the opposite end of the spectrum, there is the antagonist, who is the villain or someone who opposes the protagonist. In the case of The Little Mermaid, the antagonist is Ursula, a sea witch who dabbles in trickery and eventually tries to endanger Ariel. However, in recent years, there have been movie adaptations of fairy tales which focus on the perspectives of characters who are not the expected protagonists. For example, have you ever watched the movie Maleficent? In the old Sleeping Beauty animated movie, Maleficent is depicted as an antagonist. She curses Aurora to prick her finger on a spinning wheel and die. She is shown to be intimidating, selfish, and vengeful. Her revenge was triggered by the fact that she was not invited to a ceremony celebrating Aurora's birth. However, in the Maleficent movie which came out in 2014, the movie focuses on Maleficent's perspective instead. The movie lends an empathetic backstory to how the powerful fairy, Maleficent, eventually became villainous. It shows that the reason she secludes herself from others is because King Stefan, Aurora's father, was in love with her. However, he was soon overshadowed by his ambition to become a king. As a result, he amputated her wings while she was sleeping in order to become a king and left her. Although Maleficent still curses Aurora out of hurt and revenge, the movie shows how she eventually regrets it and tries to save Aurora. She also ended up forming a close bond with her. Isn't this an interesting perspective? Simply exploring another character's perspective in a story could allow you to explore aspects of the plot that would otherwise remain undiscovered. It might also reveal certain aspects of a character that we never knew were there, leading to a much deeper understanding of him or her. It might even make some minor characters appear more real instead of being seen as a stereotype or a caricature. Now, why don't you try exploring a fairy tale through the perspective of a character other than the protagonist? Think of a fairy tale that you enjoy or have heard of and write a paragraph to depict a scene from the original story. However, this time, write from a different character's perspective. For instance, in Little Red Riding Hood, you can depict the scene where the wolf meets Red at her grandmother's cottage, but from the wolf's perspective. As an example, I will show you a paragraph based on a scene from the Cinderella animated movie, written in the perspective of one of the stepsisters, Drizella. In this scene, Cinderella's stepsisters meets Prince Charming at the ball before Cinderella appears. Take a moment to pause and read through the passage on your own. See how writing from Drizella's perspective allows us to flesh out her thoughts and feelings, which were otherwise hidden in the original tale? Doing so allows us to explore the reason why she treats Cinderella so cruelly. Perhaps it's out of desire to please her mother. Now, you try. Pick a secondary or minor character from your favorite fairy tale and retell a scene from the original story from a different perspective. Remember to include the character's thoughts and feelings when writing from his or her perspective. However, if fairy tales don't really interest you, you can try writing from the perspective of a character who doesn't have the main spotlight in a movie, novel, or a show. Isn't exploring perspectives interesting? When it comes to writing school compositions, this is also something that you can consider. Instead of sticking to the usual perspective of a student or a child, why not explore other perspectives? Depending on the topic, you could put yourself in the shoes of another person, such as a fireman, an athlete, or a teacher. For instance, for a topic like a disappointment, instead of writing from the perspective of a child who disappointed his or her parent, why not explore writing from the perspective of a parent who disappointed his or her child instead? It is definitely something worth exploring, and if done well, can be a refreshing change for the teacher marking your essay. Of course, at the end of the day, make sure to keep your story relevant to the topic that you are writing on. I hope that you've learned more about perspectives today, and more importantly, will consider writing from a different perspective for your next writing assignment. Bye for now! If you've been enjoying our content, don't forget to like or subscribe.